Let's go over about 35 different diagnoses and show you how they occur as a result of the way we stand and walk. And I'm going to begin with the first ray. The first ray has its own axis of motion. As you can see, the axis comes in about this way. Let's take a look. How could you move around that axis? Here's a three-dimensional animation showing it. So as your body weight comes over an unlocked foot, the first metatarsal is free to move on its axis. So it moves up and out to the side. Why don't we end up with the peace sign, the victory sign? Because of a muscle that attaches to the base of the proximal phalanx called the adductor hallucis. The adductor hallucis pulls the hallux laterally. And you end up with hallux abducto-valgus, or bunion deformity. Here's a three-dimensional animation of how this occurs. The body weight is coming over an unlocked foot. The first metatarsal is free to move on its axis. So it begins to move up and out to the side. The adductor pulls the hallux laterally. And over time, you end up with a bump on the medial side of the first metatarsal, a bunion deformity. You've all seen this come into your office. Eventually, it starts to crowd the second and third toes, and you end up with hammer digits, second or third. So the patient walks into your office with a bunion deformity. What are you going to do? First thing we're going to do is take an x-ray. Why? We want to measure the angle between the first and second metatarsal, the intermetatarsal angle. It helps us decide what surgery to do. If they have a mild angle, maybe we'll cut the adductor and transfer it to the head of the first. Add a capsulotomy, a capsulorrhaphy. In other words, we'll tighten the lateral capsule, the medial capsule, and cut the lateral capsule. We'll do a soft tissue procedure. If it's a moderate angle, we'll cut through the head of the metatarsal and do some form of head osteotomy. There's about 90 variations plus. And if it's a severe angle, we'll do some form of base wedge osteotomy. And there are many, many variations of those. What I'm going to ask you is, how would you reverse a bunion without surgery? Think about it. What caused the bunion in the first place? The body weight was coming over an unlocked foot. The first metatarsal was free to move up and out on its axis. If we could take the head of the first metatarsal and move it back down and in on its axis to the degree that you're still flexible, you can reverse a bunion simply by lowering the head of the first metatarsal. Why does that work? Because form follows function. It's funny, I heard that in school. I answered it on the test. I never understood that. Then I went to a lecture by, I believe it was Dr. Green from Podiatry Institute on hammer toes. He's up at the podium and he's saying, form follows function. So I pulled him in the hallway afterwards. I said, Dr. Green, what does that mean? He said, Ed, it means if you walk around with your toes like this, they're going to be like this. I said, oh, stupid-nagel. That makes sense. That means that everything that we treat starts out flexible and becomes rigid over time. Well, when do you want to treat it? When it's still flexible, when you can move it. The trouble is, we do surgery. We treat the symptom. We cut the bone, we straighten it out, we get these beautiful, straight as an arrow x-rays. And then these silly patients go out and walk on our x-rays.